I need you to understand something right now. What happened to Lindsey Vonn yesterday at the Olympics is not just a sports story. This is one of the most heartbreaking and simultaneously inspiring things you will ever see in your entire life. I'm talking about a 41-year-old woman with a literal titanium knee who tore her ACL 9 days ago and still showed up to race down a mountain at 80 miles per hour in front of the entire world. And it lasted exactly 13.4 seconds before it all came crashing down in the most devastating way possible. People are crying. Athletes are speechless. Fans are debating whether she's the bravest person alive or if she took it too far. And I'm about to break down every single detail of this story because it goes so much deeper than what you saw on TV. So let's get into it because this is genuinely one of the craziest sports stories I've ever covered. First, let me set the scene for you because context matters here. The 2026 Winter Olympics are happening right now in Milan, Cortina, Italy, and yesterday, February 8th, was the women's downhill skiing event. This wasn't just any race though. This was being held in Cortina d'Ampezzo on a course called the Olympia del Tifane, and for Lindsey Vonn this location is everything. She got her very first World Cup podium finish on this exact course back in 2004 when she was just a teenager. 11 years later in 2015 she won a Super G race here that made her the winningest female skier of all time at that point in history. She has 12 total World Cup victories in Cortina out of her 84 career wins. She said multiple times that if the Olympics were being held anywhere else she probably wouldn't have even attempted this comeback. Cortina is her place. It's where her legend was built. And she wanted to end her career there with one final Olympic medal. That's why she came back. But here's what makes this story absolutely insane. Lindsey Vonn retired from skiing in 2019. She was done. Finished. Her body was completely broken. She had suffered years of knee injuries, including multiple ACL tears, fractures, bone bruises, you name it. She's had 9 knee surgeries over the course of her career. By the time she retired, she couldn't even walk without limping. She couldn't hike short distances without pain. She couldn't straighten her knee. Her right knee had severe arthritis from all the damage, and doctors basically told her she would never race again. She was in daily pain and she accepted that her skiing career was over. She moved on to other things. Reality TV. Philanthropy. Living a normal life off the slopes. But then in April of 2024 everything changed. Lindsey Vonn had a robotic-assisted partial knee replacement. Let me explain what that means because it's actually incredible. Surgeons used a robot to create a 3D model of her damaged knee and then replaced only the damaged outer part with a titanium implant. This wasn't a full knee replacement. They kept her ACL, her meniscus, and the healthy cartilage intact, which meant she could potentially still have the stability and balance needed for elite skiing. The surgery was so precise that the implant was positioned down to the 0.5 millimeter and 0.5 degree. And it worked. Like it actually worked. Within months, Lindsey said she felt immediate pain relief. She could walk without limping. She could move her knee. And she started thinking maybe, just maybe, she could ski again. So she started training. And not just casual training, we're talking full World Cup level training. By November 2024 she announced she was officially coming back and rejoining the US ski team for the 2024-2025 season. People thought she was crazy. A 40-year-old with a partial knee replacement trying to compete against 20-somethings in one of the most dangerous sports in the world. But Lindsey Vonn is not like other people. She came into this Olympic season absolutely dominating. She had 2 World Cup wins, bringing her career total to 84. She had 5 other podium finishes. She was at the top of the FAS leaderboard. She wasn't just competing, she was winning. She proved every single doubter wrong. She was a legitimate gold medal contender going into these Olympics. The comeback was real. It was happening. And then disaster struck. On January 30, 2026, just 9 days before the Olympic downhill race, Lindsey was competing in a World Cup event in Crans-Montana, Switzerland. The course had already seen several bad crashes that day. And then Lindsey went down. She hit a jump and pinwheeled off the course into a barrier. She was screaming in pain. She had to be airlifted off the mountain by helicopter. And when doctors examined her, they found that she had completely ruptured her left ACL. Not just partially torn, completely ruptured. She also had bone bruising and meniscal damage. This was her other knee, remember. Her right knee has the titanium implant. Her left knee just got destroyed. For context, the ACL is the ligament that connects your shin bone to your thigh bone and provides rotational stability. When it's torn, your knee becomes unstable. Skiing with a torn ACL is technically possible, but it's incredibly dangerous because you don't have that stability. You can't control your movements the same way. Most athletes would have immediately withdrawn from competition. Doctors were telling her not to race. Her family was worried. The entire skiing world assumed her Olympic dream was over. But on February 4, just 4 days after the crash, Lindsey Vonn announced that she was still racing. She said, "I know what my chances were before the crash, and I know my chances aren't the same as they stand today, but I know there's still a chance, and as long as there's a chance, I'm going to take it." She said she wouldn't even try this if it wasn't in Cortina. The location meant everything to her. This was her last chance to compete in her favorite place in the world. So she decided to race with a knee brace. She completed 2 training runs on Friday and Saturday leading up to the race and actually posted solid times. On Saturday, she hit 78 miles per hour and had the 3rd fastest time in training. Her knee felt stable. No swelling. No pain. She was ready. Or at least she thought she was. Now let me describe what happened yesterday, because it's genuinely one of the most horrific things I've seen in sports. The race started at noon local time. Perfect conditions. Blue skies. The crowd was massive. Everyone was there to see Lindsey. Her family was in the stands. Her sister Karen Kilda was watching. Fans from all over the world showed up specifically for her. The atmosphere was electric. Lindsey was starting 13th out of 36 competitors. She stood at the top of the course. She tapped her poles together 3 times, which is her ritual. She pushed out of the gate. The clock started. And 13.4 seconds later it was over. What happened was this. As Lindsey went through the 4th gate of the course, her right ski pole snagged the gate. That jerked her off balance. Her shoulder also clipped the gate, which swung her entire body to the right just as she was going off a jump. She landed perpendicular to the slope, completely twisted and out of control. Her skis dug into the snow. She tumbled violently. Her knees twisted in ways they're not supposed to twist. She hit her head. The mandatory airbag under her race suit inflated. And then she just stopped. Lying there on the snow. Motionless except for the screaming. Because she was screaming. Loud enough that you could hear it on the broadcast. She was screaming that she couldn't get her skis off. The race was immediately stopped. Medical personnel rushed to her. The crowd that had been cheering seconds earlier went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. At the bottom of the hill, her family watched in horror. Her teammate Breezy Johnson, who had just posted the fastest time and would go on to win gold, was sitting there with concern all over her face. Everyone just stood there watching as medical staff worked on Lindsey for what felt like forever. After about 15 minutes, a helicopter appeared. They loaded her onto a stretcher, zipped her into a red evacuation bag, and airlifted her off the mountain. For the 2nd time in 9 days, Lindsey Vonn was being carried off a ski slope by helicopter. The crowd watched the helicopter fly overhead, carrying away their hero. And then the race just continued. Other skiers went down. Medals were awarded. But nobody could stop thinking about what they had just witnessed. Here's what we know about her injuries. Lindsey was first taken to a clinic in Cortina and then transferred to a larger hospital in Treviso, which is about a 2-hour drive south. She underwent emergency surgery to stabilize a fracture in her left leg. That's the same leg where she tore her ACL 9 days ago. So now she has a broken leg and a torn ACL in the same knee. The U.S. ski team released a statement saying she sustained an injury but is in stable condition and in good hands with a team of American and Italian physicians. But we don't know the full extent of the damage yet. We don't know if this is career-ending. We don't know if she'll need more surgeries. We don't know how long recovery will take. What we do know is that this is devastating. Absolutely devastating. And the reactions have been all over the place. Some people are calling Lindsey the bravest athlete they've ever seen. They're saying she knew the risks and she went for it anyway because that's what champions do. They're saying her determination and refusal to give up is inspirational and that she's a legend regardless of the outcome. Other people are angry. They're saying she never should have been allowed to race with a completely torn ACL. They're questioning why doctors cleared her. They're saying this was reckless and that she put herself in unnecessary danger. Some are even blaming the International Ski Federation for not stepping in. Then you have people who are just heartbroken. They're crying over the fact that this incredible comeback story ended in such a brutal way. They're mourning the loss of what could have been. If Lindsey had medaled, it would have been one of the greatest sports stories of all time. A 41-year-old with a titanium knee and a torn ACL winning an Olympic medal in her favorite place in the world. But instead we got this. Let me give you some perspective on just how insane Lindsey Vonn's career has been because I don't think people fully understand what she's accomplished. She's won 84 World Cup races, which is the most of any American skier, male or female, in history. She's won 3 Olympic medals. Gold in downhill at Vancouver 2010. Bronze in Super G in 2010. Bronze in downhill at Pyeongchang 2018. She's won 8 World Championship medals. She's been on the podium 137 times in World Cup events. She was the first American woman to win an Olympic gold in downhill. She's literally one of the greatest skiers of all time, period. And she did all of that while dealing with constant injuries. She's skied with torn ligaments. She's skied with fractures. She's skied with bone bruises. She competed in the 2018 Olympics with a torn LCL, 3 tibia fractures, and a bone bruise, and still won bronze. She's built different. That's not just a saying, that's literally true. Doctors have studied her and said her pain tolerance and mental fortitude are off the charts. So when people ask why she would risk racing with a torn ACL, the answer is because that's who Lindsey Vonn is. She doesn't quit. She doesn't back down. She pushes through pain that would sideline most people. And yeah, maybe that's reckless. Maybe she should have listened to her body and withdrawn. But that's also what made her great in the first place. You don't become the winningest female skier in history by playing it safe. Her teammate Bella Wright, who watched the crash from the top of the hill, said it was heartbreaking. Breezy Johnson, who won gold, said watching Lindsey crash reminded her of her own Olympic dreams dying 4 years ago and that her heart aches for her. Even the president of the International Ski Federation said it's tragic, but that knowing Lindsey, he wouldn't count her out for the 2030 Olympics in the French Alps. Which is wild because she'd be 45 years old by then, but honestly at this point, would you bet against her? Here's the thing though. This crash has sparked a massive conversation about athlete safety and how far is too far when it comes to competing injured. Because yes, Lindsey is tough. Yes, she's inspirational. But should she have been out there? Should doctors have cleared her to race? Should the Ski Federation have stepped in and said no, this is too dangerous? ACL tears are one of the most common injuries in skiing, and they're more common in women because women have looser joints, less muscle mass, and land differently from jumps. You can technically ski with a torn ACL, but your knee has way less stability. you're at a much higher risk of further injury. Which is exactly what happened. Lindsey crashed and now her leg is broken. Some people are saying this could have been prevented. That there should be stricter medical protocols. That just because an athlete says they're ready doesn't mean they should be allowed to compete. Others are saying athletes are adults who can make their own decisions and that Lindsey knew the risks better than anyone. She's had 9 knee surgeries. She knows her body. She talked to the best doctors in the world and they cleared her. If she wanted to race, that was her choice to make. But then you have the counter-argument, which is that athletes are so driven to compete that they can't be objective about their own health. That someone needed to protect Lindsey from herself. It's a really complicated ethical question and there's no easy answer. What's really hitting people hard is just how close she was. Like she made it through 2 training runs with no issues. She posted the 3rd fastest time on Saturday. Her knee felt good. If she had just gotten through those first few gates, if that pole hadn't snagged, if her timing had been slightly different, she might have medaled. She might have pulled off the impossible. Instead, it's over. And we'll never know what could have been. Her coach Axel Lundsvindel, who was a legendary skier himself, looked absolutely devastated watching from the sidelines. Lindsey's sister Karen was in tears. The fans who traveled from all over the world to see her were crushed. One fan told CBS News that she came to Cortina with an injured knee herself on her birthday because Lindsey Vonn inspired her so much and watching the crash made her feel awful for Lindsey. Another retired ex-skier from Utah said everyone was there to celebrate Lindsey's incredible career and this is absolutely heartbreaking, but that true to form, Lindsey wouldn't have it any other way. She knew the risks. She accepted them. And she went for it. Podium or bust. And it went bust. But the respect people have for her is unreal. So where do we go from here? Well, Lindsey is recovering in an Italian hospital right now. She's stable, which is good, but we don't know what the long-term prognosis is. Is this the end of her career? Almost definitely. Will she try to come back again? Honestly, who knows? If anyone could do it, it's her, but at some point your body just can't take anymore. What's clear is that Lindsey Vonn's legacy is cemented regardless of what happened yesterday. She's one of the greatest athletes of all time in any sport. She's inspired millions of people. She's broken records that may never be beaten. She's shown the world what determination looks like. And yeah, this ending is tragic. It's heartbreaking. It's not the storybook finish anyone wanted. But maybe that's what makes it so powerful. Because Lindsey didn't play it safe. She didn't protect her legacy by staying home. She risked everything for one more shot at glory in the place she loves most. And even though it didn't work out, you can't say she didn't give it everything she had. That's the definition of a warrior. The debate will continue about whether she should have raced. People will argue about it for years. But what's not up for debate is that Lindsey Vonn is a legend. What happened yesterday doesn't change that. If anything, it reinforces it. Because she went out on her shield fighting until the very end. And there's something beautiful about that even in the tragedy. The sports world is still processing this. Social media is flooded with tributes. Fellow athletes are posting messages of support. Fans are sharing their favorite Lindsey Vonn moments. And everyone is just hoping she's okay. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about medals or records or comebacks. This is about a human being who's been through so much pain and kept pushing, and finally her body said enough. And that's sad. It's really, really sad. But it's also a reminder of how much these athletes sacrifice. How much they put their bodies through. How much they risk every single time they compete. We watch from the comfort of our homes and we forget that these people are flying down mountains at 80 miles per hour with nothing but skill and courage keeping them alive. And sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes the risks catch up with you. That's what happened to Lindsey. And all we can do now is respect what she tried to do and hope she heals and maybe find some inspiration in the fact that she tried it all. Because most people wouldn't. Most people would have stayed retired. But Lindsey Vonn isn't most people. She never has been. And that's why the whole world was watching. That's why her crash is the biggest story at these Olympics. And that's why people will remember this moment forever. So there you have it. The full story of what happened to Lindsey Vonn at the 2026 Winter Olympics. 13.4 seconds that ended a comeback years in the making. A crash that has the entire world talking. A moment that's simultaneously devastating and inspiring depending on how you look at it. What do you think? Was Lindsey brave or reckless? Should she have raced or should someone have stopped her? Does this change your opinion of her legacy or does it make it even stronger? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I know this one is hitting people hard and everyone has an opinion. Make sure you're subscribed because we'll be following Lindsey's recovery and bringing you updates as they come. And honestly, just send good vibes her way because she's been through enough. She deserves to heal in peace and hopefully find some comfort in knowing that millions of people around the world respect the hell out of what she tried to do. Until next time, stay safe out there and remember that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is try even when the odds are against you. That's what legends are made of. Peace.